Hi everyone, welcome to today's Facebook Live. My name is Regan and I'm here at Bachman's on Lyndale, and we have beautiful weather. The sun is starting to peek out. So I'm very excited to be here today because we are going to be checking in on our victory gardens. Be sure to let us know where you're watching from in the comments. We love to see who's all watching and part of this process with us. If you were able to watch 2 weeks ago, we planted our victory gardens, and what we did is we planted an elevated garden here with starter plants, but we also planted a raised garden from seed. So I just got done checking in on that and it's looking really beautiful. You can just start to see they're peeking out of the soil, so it's going to be a lot of fun to take a look at that in 2 weeks and see how that is growing. If you did miss that segment, you can definitely check out our planting segment. It's still on our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages, and we've got planting tips in there so you can see how everything was going. But also, we hope that you planted your own victory garden because we love to go on this growing journey with you. If you did, please share your photos with us. We'd love to see what people are growing, what they're enjoying. Tell us what you're observing in your garden, and please feel free to ask questions because we can share advice and expertise with you. We want to help you be successful in your own garden. As you go out and check on your victory garden today, be sure that you have your garden journal with you. The garden journal is a wonderful place to take notes on everything that you're observing in your garden. It's going to help you see maybe where areas of improvement, or if everything is going really well, it's a great reference to look back at next year when you're ready to plant. You can just copy exactly what is in your garden and you can have a duplicate of that next year. So today we're going to talk mostly about harvesting and watering. Harvesting is one of my favorite parts, so you can enjoy the lovely flavors that you've planted. So I've got my pruners here. And first of all, we have a nice mix of veggies and herbs in here. We planted 2 different kinds of lettuce. We've got a tomato back there, and then some basil, cilantro, rosemary. So I think our lettuce is looking nice and full so far. It's coming in nicely, and our cilantro is kind of going crazy, so we're going to trim some of that as well. When you're harvesting lettuce, it's a great idea to harvest early in the morning. When the weather's a bit cooler before it starts to warm up. That's going to really get you as crisp of lettuce leaves as possible and a nice sweet flavor. But I'm going to harvest right now so that we can kind of talk a little bit about it and show you what's going on. So when you're harvesting, be sure to trim right at the base, right above the soil, so you can get as much of the leaf as possible. And also, we're just going to focus on trimming around the outside and leave the center in, because you never want to harvest more than 75% of your plant, because you want to make sure that it still has enough foliage there that it can maintain its growth. So I'm just going to snip a few of these off. And we planted multiple kinds of lettuce, so I'm going to come over here so we can have a nice mixed green salad and get some of these as well. A term that you may be familiar with is bolting, and that happens with cool season crops, and lettuce and cilantro actually included. And basically what it is it's a survival mechanism, and it happens when the weather gets very warm. The plants grow quite quickly, and then they flower and they seed. And when that happens, it really changes the flavor of the plant, and it's not really an enjoyable flavor, so it's not something you're going to want to eat. To help delay the bolting and minimize that as much as possible, harvesting is a great way to do that. So that's why we're going to harvest some of this guy. Also, keeping it evenly watered will help delay that bolting as well. Okay, so I've trimmed a few bits off just to show you. So now you're going to want to clean your harvest. So we recommend using a mixture of 3 parts water to 1 part vinegar. So I've got that mixed up here. So I'm going to get those in there. And you can leave those in there for about 2 to 5 minutes. So while those are being cleaned, I just want to talk a little bit about watering. So it actually rained this morning, so I'm not going to water this guy. It's actually been raining a lot lately. Typically for an elevated garden or an in-ground garden, you're going to want to make sure it gets about 1 inch of water per week. For container gardens such as this is our salsa garden that we've planted. These are going to get watered more frequently, but it really depends on the size of the container and how densely you planted it. So with all the rainfall that we've been getting, different plants react differently to large amounts of rain. Our lettuce is going to weather that pretty well because its roots are so shallow. The things you're going to want to take a closer look at would be like your root vegetables. So take a look at those. Make sure that the soil is draining very well because it's been a lot of heavy rainfall lately. And if you notice areas in your garden that are kind of the water is puddling, that's a great thing to write down in your garden journal. It's good to take note of. Then when you plant next year, you can remember to really amend that soil so it's got great drainage before you get started. Also, the water is going to be washing away nutrients that your plants need, so now is an excellent time to fertilize. And unfortunately, with a lot of rain comes a lot of slugs. And we want to enjoy our crops. We don't want the slugs to enjoy our crops. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways we can handle that. The slugs typically come out at night and they hide during the day, of course, making it difficult for us to find them. So a couple ways that we can take care of the slugs. One is with wet newspaper. This is dry right now, but if you take damp newspaper and lay it throughout the garden at the end of the day, then overnight the slugs are going to crawl and they'll stay underneath it. So then in the morning you should be able to just lift this up and find all of them and you can pick them out of the garden. And you can just do that each night until you no longer see slugs or slug damage on your plants. Another good option, I've got here just a peanut butter jar lid. So any lid to a jar, you can take some beer or another fermenting liquid and just pour it in the lid and they're going to be attracted to that odor. So then if you just set these lids throughout your garden, again at night, then you check in the morning and they'll be in there and you can just easily remove those. So now that we've had these guys washing, basically what you would do, you left it in there for a few minutes. I don't have water with me, but you would take and just rinse it in cool water then. And if you're going to enjoy it right away, that's wonderful. If you want to dry them, obviously a salad spinner is great, or if you just lay them out flat on a paper towel, they'll dry that way as well. If you aren't going to enjoy them right away and you want them to last in the fridge a bit longer, just take a pan with damp paper towels in it, spread them out in the damp paper towels. That's going to help keep them really crisp and fresh in your refrigerator a bit longer. And that's for more than just lettuce. You can do that for all of your crops as well. So once again, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you'll share your own victory garden pictures with us. We love to see how things are growing for you. Please feel free to ask questions, and join us again on Facebook this Friday, and we will be talking all about perennials. So thanks so much and happy gardening.